While recording this video, the same issue that I talk about in the very first ticket happens to me later in the video, which is actually great as an example on how to fix it real time. I had no idea this was going to happen, but it certainly was foreshadowing of that. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Koboman. Today we're going to continue with our help desk training videos. We're going to pick random tickets within our ticketing system and talk about them. If you can do me a favor, please, in the comments below, say hello, hi, or present, just to let me know that you are still interested in this type of content. Also, if you don't mind, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, scrolling through our ticketing system. Let's try this one here. Trouble with Google Chrome. For about a week now, I cannot access faculty load and compensation through Google Chrome, which I'm assuming is a website. When I log into Simon, looks all jumbled. All right, and when I click on the faculty load and compensation, which I'm assuming is a link, it says you are not authorized to view this page. All right. I thought it may correct itself because others are having the same difficulty, but as of today, it's still like this. I can get in with no problem going through Microsoft Edge, but I'd like to get into it through Chrome too. So, this usually happens when there are issues with a website and you are basically using old links for that website. So what's happening is that if you are getting this message, still here it says you are not authorized to view this page, chances are you are trying to access a page that has been cached with your previous instance or your previous session for that link. So this is usually happening with websites where you have to log into. The reason for that is that every time you log into a website with your login ID and password, it creates a session ID for you specifically. So if you are still trying to access that same page and some changes have happened on the website itself, chances are it's going to give you this type of error because you are trying to access an old and expired session for that website specifically for you. The reason it's specifically for you is because you logged in as you and created that encrypted session for yourself specifically, but it's no longer there, and this is why you may get this error where it says you are not authorized to view this page. So the URLs may have changed as well. Anyways, I just want you to keep that in mind as the reason to why this is happening. Now let's go and talk about on how to fix this. As you notice here, it says I can get in with no problem going through Microsoft Edge. So why is that? It's because if you haven't used Microsoft Edge as your main browser, right? If you haven't used your Microsoft Edge as your main browser in this case is Chrome, of course Microsoft Edge is not going to have any cached version of that website that you're trying to use. So the first time you use the website, you're going to get the new version of it. You're going to get a new cached version of it, cookies, autofill of your passwords and this and that. So basically all the data that you're getting from that website is going to be fresh on Microsoft Edge, probably because you don't normally use Microsoft Edge. And this is why it's working on Microsoft Edge, but still not working on Chrome. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix this. The way you fix this, and as you've guessed it probably by now, is by deleting old data for that website that's associated with that website. All right, so I'm just going to here go to settings. So on the right hand side of Chrome, there are three dots. Go down, select settings. And you can browse through this for the settings where, the cookies and site data are and delete them, just by doing so. But you can also search. Since nowadays there are so many settings within here, I also always say if you don't know or if you don't have time to look for something, just search for it. You do have a search box for a reason here within the settings themselves because there are so many different settings. So if you want to search for cookies, it is the fastest way. And if this is the fastest way to you find it, then you can certainly do so. And here are the results that we get by just simply searching for cookies. Or, you can see it says here, clear history, cookies, cache, and more. And sure enough, it would be within here. So this is one way to try to basically delete what you have accessed recently. And it tells you what it is, right? Here's selected on advanced, but normally it's under basic, where it says here basic, and then it tells you what it would clear. It would clear browsing history, cookies in other sites, cached images and files. But this doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good idea for you to do, because you have cached data for other websites, and that cached data might be very useful to you or the user or the customer. So the reason you don't necessarily want to do this is because you don't want to delete their search data that they rely on as part of their job. So you want to specifically target that one website instead of trying to delete all cookies for every website that they've accessed. And this is what this would do. Even if you go to advanced, the only option is that you can delete more things from it that they've cached over time. But you can do that if you want, and if they're okay with it, that's fine. However, I like to target the website itself specifically. Okay, so let's do that. And the way you can do this is by selecting third-party cookies here. Select that. Scroll down and select See All Site Data and Permissions. Select that. And now you have data specific to each website that you normally visit. So in this case, I obviously don't have the link to the website that the person was using, but you have an option here to look for it, and you can also search for it right here. So whatever the website name is, if there are thousands in here, you can type in and search for it. Say my website, this and that. Whatever the name is, you can search through it and find it specifically. In this case, let's pretend it's, I don't know, let's pretend it's Yahoo here, right? You can see that if you click on Yahoo, you can see all the 12 cookies that are there. And for those reasons, you can simply select delete here where it says remove yahoo.com. So this would specifically delete site data and permissions for Yahoo and all sites under it. That means like other URLs that they're using. In this case, right here, you can see these are all things that came from Yahoo. So these are all probably just links that are associated with Yahoo last time you went to it. So I'm just going to remove all of that, and we're going to pretend that that's the website that is causing the problem. Now all you have to do is just go back to that website and the issue should be resolved. That's the main reason for this to happen. All right, so let me just type this out as a reply. In your Chrome browser, please delete cookies and site data specific to the website you are trying to access. This, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. But let me just type in again what the reason is. The reason why you may not be able to access this web site through Chrome is most likely related to old cached data. Dot. Sure. Cached? Would you say cached or catched? I always say cached. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Cached. Although I did say cached earlier, didn't I? Anyway, this is how you would do it. So this should resolve the problem. Okay, I'm going to resolve this ticket and move on. All right, so this one is a calendar issue. I updated Microsoft 365 yesterday, and now a calendar that is shared with me is blank. So let me tell you right now, every time you update a Microsoft 365 product, and let's say you have lost your local inbox, which is supposed to be offline, which is called the OST file, and if it hasn't been created, or let's say it's been deleted for some reason, in this case, it could happen if you update or reinstall Microsoft 365 app on your computer. The first time you log into Outlook, it has to resync everything that is stored on the cloud, meaning that it has to re-download your inbox, which is your .ost file, and it has to also sync your calendar items. So let's say you have a lot of calendar items. I've seen this issue where you just have to simply give it time to sync everything that is there. I still see the calendar in my list, but none of the appointments are showing. Yeah, that's just typical. All the appointments, especially if it's a shared calendar. So let's say you are an admin assistant of some sort and you are basically creating calendar items on behalf of somebody, or simply there is a shared calendar that you do work with, then yeah, it will take time for it to sync up because it's not necessarily just you that has all this information, but the other people that are also sharing. And this stuff just takes time to sync up. All right, let me just open up Outlook here to show you kinda. I don't have a syncing issue on my calendar, but just to show you that this could happen. So in this case, you can see that this person has two inboxes and their login is two different people. It's not necessarily unusual if you are like an admin assistant. You may have this ability. But in this case, let's look at Adele. Let's select Adele's inbox here. And there are stuff in here, but there are very few things. And usually if there's an syncing issue, on the bottom here somewhere, I want to say like right about here, it will tell you that it's still syncing, that it's either downloading your inbox and your calendar items. So it's going to take a while for it to sync. So let's go to calendar right away. Here is the calendar. You can see that Adele has a couple of different calendars in here. Let's kind of stretch this out just so we can see. And she can see other shared calendars, which are right down here. And one of the issues could be, yeah, I can see it, but I don't see it on the right hand side over here. Well, maybe the issue is, let me just change it to weeks here so it's more apparent. You can see there are other calendars that you can see which are shared, but if you haven't necessarily selected them, they may not even show up. So just make sure that that's not the issue. Make sure that it's the check mark is there, so that way you can see all these other ones. You see how it's populating? You can see how it's populating. You just make sure that this is checked. Just because you see it doesn't mean that you're reviewing it. And for those reasons, make sure it's checked. Otherwise, it's just simply a syncing issue. It may take a while for it to show up. Let me uncheck all of this type of stuff here. I'm going to uncheck all of these other teams, groups. So right now, I'm just viewing my own calendar. It says my calendar here, my calendar. And you can see it's just for Bob. But if I select this one here, where it's for shared calendar, just as for Adele, select that. You see how it just pops in right away? And you can change the view right here how you want it to show. And it's the same difference. Just make sure it's checked here, or it's a syncing issue where you just have to wait for it to sync. All right, let's go to the web version of that real quick. Here is the Outlook. And in this case, I am only signed in as Adele. Let me just update my password here real quick. I'm only signing here as Adele, so we're only going to see what she sees and not Bob. Here is the two-factor authentication that I'm getting. The ping you heard is from my two-factor authenticator on my phone, and I'm just going to use that code. Again, these are fictional people. Don't worry, I'm not worried about personal information being released here because this is for training purposes only. All right. So this is the online version of that. So this is Adele only. We're not going to see anything from Bob. Select calendar over here. And here it is. Same difference. She won't see any other shared calendars unless they're checked. In this case, you can see that this one is checked, which is fine. So only here, seeing only hers. But in order to see the other one, or group ones, you have to select the group calendar. You have to select this one here, which is deployment team. Right now, you really don't see much, but if I selected the split, I can see the deployment team's calendar and my own on the right side. I can change it to month, and now I can see a little bit more of what is shared, which is more apparent. So if I uncheck this shared one, you can see it disappears, right? But if I check it again, you can see that it comes back up. Again, just make sure it's not a syncing issue. This is a web version. This is why it works instantly, because it's web version. It's already on the cloud. The web is on the cloud, right? This is why it works like that. Okay. Minimize action, and let's go back to our ticket. For this reply, I'm going to say it may take a bit of time for calendar to sync. I didn't spell that right. Okay. To sync with Outlook app that is installed on the computer, because it needs to download a local copy of the inbox and the calendar. Let's see, otherwise, make sure when viewing your calendar that it is selected with a check mark. Sure, let's leave it at that. Okay. All right. That is that. And of course, if you are, doing this for somebody, you just have to take control of their computer and just do it. Let's try this one here. No sound. Good afternoon. I went to listen to Dr. K's talk today, and I do not have sound, but do for other things on the internet. So I'm assuming it's a web meeting of some sort. Okay, let's open up Teams. This is Teams app that is installed on the computer. It's different for the web version. So Teams app, and if you want to check your audio settings, select the three dots right next to your login initials or login profile. Select three dots, select settings, select devices, and make sure that your headset or whatever it is that you're using is selected in here. In this case, we have a Plantronics headset that is connected. Make sure that speakers and microphone are selected as such, so that way it's set up correctly. That means it's connected properly. Otherwise, if it's still not working, then your headset is bad. Now, it's different on online version. It's quite different actually. So let's go back to online version of Teams. And once it loads, if you noticed, if I click on the three dots up here and go to settings, sorry, I have to sign in again. I just signed in, you saw me. Every time you change password, it does this. Come on, I don't feel like setting this up. So in a business environment, you wouldn't necessarily, it's confused. You wouldn't necessarily have this issue because it would be set up with one sign, which basically, as long as you're connected to the network itself, it won't bug you with this. Oh, look at that. I broke it because I have calendar open with the new password. Okay, all right. Let's try it again. So the reason that this is happening is because what I had open was Outlook with the new password open already. So it's holding on to that session. Now I've closed Outlook, and now it should let me, well, here we go. I broke it. That's okay. See how it says here session ID? And remember we had this issue with the first ticket where you get this error, right? And this is because it's holding on to this session ID, which is the cached version of that. Okay, so we can fix it. It could just be fixed by closing Chrome here and opening it up, but we might have to go in and delete that cached version. So let's go to office.com. I'm glad that actually happened. Okay, let me log in, even though I'm pretty sure, did I change the password on the web version? I may have updated or not. Anyways, again, it's that session ID that I was telling you about. Let's go to Teams. Let's see if that fixed it. Try again. Come on, sign in. Okay, okay, perfect. I'm glad this happened. All right, let's go back to, let me just make sure I close this website here. So that way it's not holding on to that session. So right now, let me open up a new tab. Okay, making sure that the website is still not open, right? Make sure that that website is closed completely. Settings. All right, in this case, I'm just going to manually look for it instead of searching for it. So it's privacy and security. All right, clear browsing data. This is where you could do that thing that we showed you earlier. Here's third-party cookies. Scroll down, see all site data and permissions. Here is office.com and here's microsoft.com. Let's go ahead and delete. Actually, here's microsoftonline.com. So any of these could be used for that. Well, actually, it's this one, office.com, Outlook, office.com. So if you want a bit more specific, here's Teams one. Microsoft Online. I'm going to leave this Microsoft Online for now, but let's go ahead and delete these first two because the first one is Teams and the other one is Outlook. So let's go ahead and delete these. Deletage. I'm going to leave this one here. Okay, let's try this again. Office.com. It's funny how that happened. I'm glad it happened so that way we can see what is happening. So I have to re-authenticate. So we are re-authenticating and creating our new session, which will generate our new session ID. Using a two-factor confirmation on my phone with the authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator. I typed in that code. All right. Skip. Okay, we're logged in now to this. Let's see if Teams works now. Okay, come on, come on. And there it is. Come on, just one more step. I'm not going to put in a phone number for every fictional person that I'm working with. All right. Almost there. Well, it keeps asking for that. It really wants me to put in my phone number in there. Come on, there it is. So we've fixed it. And that's a perfect example of how it can break and how it holds on to those broken sessions. Okay, I'm going to turn on notifications, allow notifications for this. Create team schedule. I don't have time for this. So here we are in Teams. Again, so let's select three dots here, select settings. And remember, in the app version that is installed on your computer, it's completely different. Let me go back to this. Settings here. You can see that we do have devices on the locally installed Teams. We have devices option. But on the web version, we do not. We do not have an option to change these settings for the devices. It's not there. So how do you go about fixing it? Well, the easiest way to actually go about it is whenever you go to Teams and there are other three dots here, right? What is that? Well, this doesn't help us at all. It's not related. But if you start a session right here where it says, start a new meeting, it's going to ask you, do you want to use your microphone? Fine, let's select allow. And here it is. This is where you would actually change your settings and make sure that your Plantronics, in this case, is set up correctly. And then you can select open devices. And it's just a thing that comes up on the side. So it's like a sort of like a column that pops up on the side. And it tells you that, oh yeah, indeed, it's selecting the correct headphones. So this is great. If it's something else, then make sure that you select whatever the user or wherever the customer wants. So this is good. If I join now, it's going to work fine as long as the headset is not broken itself. All right, so that worked out perfectly. Now let's go back to our ticket and reply. When you and let me just kind of point this out real quick. It says here, I do not have the sound, but for other things on the internet. Okay, it says, I went to listen to Dr. K's talk today, and I do not have sound, but I do for other things on the internet. So in this case, we know that it's very specific to the meeting or whatever is that the app that they're using to listen to Dr. K, right? So it's that app specifically. It's not a sound issue on like locally. There's no need for us to go. Well, you can, but there's really no need for us to go to the sound settings on the computer itself because the sound works for other things. Okay? So it's specific to the app that is used to listen to Dr. K. Okay. Make sure to check the sound settings specifically for the, I'm going to assume, I'm going to say the app used to listen to Dr. K's talk. I.E, Teams or Zoom, and etc. Whatever it is that you're using to listen to this meeting. And by the way, in Zoom, it'll be very similar. You basically are looking for the same stuff, whether it's Zoom or I don't know, Google Meets or whatever, I don't know, whatever people use nowadays as well. Just make sure you look for sound settings in the app that is used in this in that specific situation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I have really enjoyed making it as well. And if you watched all the way through, please let me know. I actually have noticed that some people say, yeah, I watched the whole video, which is awesome. It really makes a difference. It really makes the channel more known to other people because YouTube starts recommending it to other people that need this type of training. So I really appreciate you watching the entire video. I hope you have a wonderful day. And if I don't see you before then, I'm going to try to make another video before the holidays. But yeah, if you celebrate any of the holidays, I wish you and your family happy holidays. All right, take care. Bye-bye.